Good day, all. My name is Michele Mason, and I'm the Disability Services Lead for the Office of Workforce Development. During this session, we will review the standardized testing accommodation guides for individuals with disabilities. The guides are developed as practical one-pagers staff can share with the test takers to independently navigate the accommodations request process for standardized tests such as a GED, HiSET, and TABE, both in-seat and virtually. The fair question is, why do we need to provide accommodations? The short answer is because it's the law. More specifically, testing accommodations must be provided to ensure equal access to programs and activities and in compliance with provisions in Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973 and the 34th chapter of CFR, Part 104, and Section 188 of WIOA, which is legislation directed towards the local workforce development areas, as they are applicable for adults. I will start with the formal definition and intention of a testing accommodation. A testing accommodation is a change made to the test administration procedure to provide equal access for students with disabilities to demonstrate their knowledge and skills. It is important that the selected accommodation minimize any advantage or disadvantage of completing the test. If the accommodation under consideration is not used in instruction, then it should not be used in the testing situation. Clearly stated, the general goal of providing testing accommodations is to create a level playing field. And oftentimes, without accommodations in place, test takers' disabilities or language abilities may adversely affect their opportunity to show on a test what they have learned. Now I will provide you with a visual of what an accommodation may look like and how an accommodation can provide equal and equitable access. In this image, you see three individuals of varying heights, looking over and through a fence, trying to catch a glimpse of the baseball game. On the left, each individual is given a box of equal measure to stand on to help them look over the fence. On the right, one individual does not require a box to stand on. One individual requires the basic accommodation of one box. And lastly, the third individual requires the added accommodation of a second box to stand on in order to have equal and equitable viewing access to the game. The extra box does not provide a view higher than the other viewers, nor does the extra box impede the view of the other viewers. Again, the idea is to provide a leveled playing field, and in this case, a chance to see the game. The act of test takers requesting accommodations for a standardized test implies they have previously disclosed their disability status. Unfortunately, this is not the reality in most circumstances, and the need for accommodations is discovered after the test is completed, which leaves the test taker at a disadvantage. Therefore, we should note, test takers' comfort in self-identifying and disclosing their disability status is based on trust, and trust is built by actions. In this case, the trust of the test taker may be based on the actions of the staff during prior services. This is not to say testing staff are expected to perform as disability experts, nor is the expectation for staff to know all of the intricacies of the accommodations request process. However, the goal is to provide staff with a basic understanding of the resources available for tester accommodation needs, especially during this new normal of virtual testing due to the COVID-19 pandemic. And with that, I will preface the information regarding virtual testing accommodations by stating, as we are in an ever-changing new normal with remote training and/or testing, updates regarding any changes to the delivery of testing accommodations will be shared when received. Now we are ready to turn our attention to the accommodation guides. I know this is a lot of information on your screen, and if you're not able to view the documents clearly, no worries, you can refer to the resources which are available on our website. On this slide, you'll see the accommodation guides for the tests in Georgia, both on-site and online. And on the next slide, you will see an example of testing accommodation guides for the HiSET in-seat and the HiSET at-home exam. The information is arranged in 4 sections: accommodations which require prior approval and disability documentation, informal accommodations allowable to all test takers, things such as magnifying glasses and wheelchairs. Then there is allowable personal care items, such as medicine that's in a properly labeled bottle and seat cushions. And lastly, the process and information for requesting testing accommodations with each testing administration's information. As a reminder, these documents were developed to be user-friendly tools, and with the exception of the TABE test, which you see the guides on your screen now, the accommodation request process rests in the hands of the test taker. When participants request testing accommodations for the TABE and TABE remote, the testing staff take the lead in coordinating accommodations. For example, if a test taker requires remote interpretation services, the test taker can work with the testing staff to contact DRC for additional information and guidance. On this slide, you will see a desktop aid created to provide staff with a snapshot of the accommodations and process for each test. Again, this is an additional resource that you can find on our website. And on this last and final slide is the contact information for the testing administrators. This concludes the overview of the accommodation guides portion of the training. It is my hope these tools will be effective for you in providing accessible services to our disabled participants.